Good evening everyone and welcome along to League of Europe. We are here for F1 2021 action. It is Season 6, Division 1, Round 13 of the Championship as we take in the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix from the Autodromo Enzo E. Dino Ferrari, otherwise known of course to you and me as Imola. My name is James. I'm going to be taking through the stream as always on a Saturday night. Mr. Mark Aldridge is going to be joining me in the commentary box, otherwise known as Old School. Of course, he should be coming in very soon indeed. I can see him certainly within the lobby, so he will be en route very shortly indeed. This is my first time commentating around Imola on this game as well, so hopefully we are going to mark up some really good action, and most importantly, we have got a championship battle leading into tonight. Montana has got to outscore Verstappen by 9 points. 9 points is all he needs to wrap up the Season 6 title. Verstappen, however, on the other hand, basically needs 16 points to try and stay within the championship fight to Montana. So the big scenario is this. Montana has got to win tonight, or he's got to finish second, and then more precautions and more, what's the word I'm looking for? More scenarios happen. Yeah, you get what I mean. Montana, though, leading the way, though, on 209 points. Verstappen in second on 114. Neo in third on 82. Daniel in fourth on 79. Rocco in fifth on 78. Nathan in sixth on 76. Cantera seventh on 72. Justas and Campbell are tied on 8th on 71. And then it's Dylan in 10th on 50 points. Good evening, Mr. Mark Aldridge. How you doing?
I'm alright, I'm good. You know, I'm only just behind, about half a second behind one of the title contenders on pace here. The title contender though is Ryan B in Division 4. So, yeah, I'm much looking forward to commentating this race rather than racing it later, if I'm honest.
Yeah, definitely. I was just alluding to the fact that this is my first commentary around Imola at all. On any game, this is my first commentary around Imola, so hopefully we're going to try and deliver. I'm not familiar with the track, so if I get any corner names wrong, you will try and butcher me, I'm sure, in the comment section. You'll bring, by the way, in 11th on 38 points to run through the rest of the standings. Jensen in 12th on 34, and then Typer after his win. Last time out in Monza, an unlikely win for the German, up to 13th position on 28 points. Reuter in 14th on 24, and Vaporizer in 15th on 22. Alphatrix, Izza, Larkin, Doom, and Yul Melmat are the only guys who have scored points so far this season. Looks like we're going to get 17 drivers in, but big scenario is this. Montana only needs 9 points to win the championship. So that basically means Montana can win the race. Verstappen has to finish third for him to win the championship.
I would favour that happening, if I'm honest, because I think this is very much a wheel track. Verstappen, as we all know, is on pad. Montana is on wheel, so it's a tough track to get right. I think there's so many dangerous sausage curbs. There's so many opportunities for pens, though. I mean, that could actually really affect the order. We've got obviously XL Larkin in this lobby who raced yesterday on one hub, and I was watching that, and there was pens abound. You know, they're pretty much through the grid. And congratulations to him for winning the one hub, I think precision tier, I think they call it. I think it was their tier 2. So yeah, that was pretty cool to watch, and hopefully we have a bit of drama here today. But I do expect, I think there's going to be 1 or 2 safety cars here too as well. It's quite easy to lose it, and lose it in a big way, especially if you're wheel to wheel with people.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if we do have a safety car deployed. Obviously, it might also rain within the race as well, so who knows what's going to happen in terms of the conditions, in terms of this track in question. These guys are very unfamiliar as well in terms of the track. Even though it has been out a month in terms of the game cycle, it is very unlikely that we're going to see nobody spinning, because we're endlessly going to see somebody spinning out on track. Looking at the constructors as well, before we get into qualifying, you can see the countdown running on. Mercedes in front on 308 points, Haas in second on 185, Aston Martin in third on 158, Red Bull in fourth on 128, Ferrari in fifth on 106, McLaren sixth on 92, then it's Alpine seventh on 79, AlphaTauri 8th on 53, Alfa Romeo on 9th on 45, and Williams in 10th on 39 points. Mercedes have a very good chance, I think, not to wrap up the Constructors' Championship this race. Probably next round, I think, they could wrap up the Constructors.
Yeah, it's very points heavy at the Mercedes camp, isn't it? This season, it's been a runaway freight train for Montana and co. Really, as he's joined. I believe he's a reserve. Is he Reapers? I've not seen him around before.
This is his first race. This is his first race. I think he is a reserve within F1. This is his first race that I can see. I don't really know who he is myself. So it's going to be a bit of a fact-finding mission as to see who he actually is out on track. And hopefully he might be very competitive along with the guys, of course, here in Division 1. We are here, of course, for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, otherwise known as Imola. I've just thought I'd name it Imola on the title of the stream, just so it's consistent and just so we know where we are, instead of being totally miscombobulate really in the Italian races that happened, of course, last season. But Imola, an absolute classic, certain. First time on the calendar since 2006. First time that I've actually driven on Imola and actually seen Imola since the F1 2013 game, of course, when they added the classic tracks in on the PS3. The first cars are coming out on track. Montana is going to be one of the first ones, I think, along with Repaz. It's actually Montana who is the first out on track. And looking at this beautiful blue skies and sunshine as well. Good to see a dry qualifying session.
Oh, but conditions change, and they are changing for the race, so they are going to be wet.
Interesting, very interesting indeed. So I wonder if these guys are going to go out maybe with a bit of a wet setup in mind, or if they're going to be going for a dry setup. It looks like the majority are coming out on a set of soft compounded tyres, so it makes sense, obviously, to set your best time on a set of soft compounded tyres. But if you were the likes of Montana, the top guys towards the top end of the field, how would you be approaching this night, especially so that there's going to be changeable conditions in the race?
I think with it being a wet race, one thing I really understand from this game is you're better off having a dry setup. You're better off running low wings, get that qualifying position, because overtaking is hard at any track. I don't think it's going to be very easy here at all. You know, without that DRS aid into the first corner, I would be sticking on. You know, the wings are quite high anyway. I think there's variations. People running about 8.8, 9.8, that kind of level. So you're not going to lose too much. But so I would probably take the qualifying position personally.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone's going to go for that quickest lap. Speaking of quick laps, Montana now on his first quick lap in towards the Tamburello chicane at turns 2 and turn 3, taking the curbs very nicely indeed, nearly sideways coming out of turn 4, and now on the run down toward the Villeneuve chicane at turn 6, and then through the right-hander here of turn number 7. 19 corners, of course, awaiting these guys out on track. The curbs are, of course, in the colour of the Italian flag, not like the traditional red-white curbs that you normally have within this game. Through Tossa, and now on the run in towards Piratella. Yes, that is the way I pronounce Tossa, by the way. Montana coming now through Piratella on the run down in towards Acqua Minerale. And Acqua Minerale is a little bit different compared to ACC, where it hasn't been put in terms of the elevation change. So the elevation change is a little bit different on this game compared to that. And now on the run up in towards Variante Alto. The Alta chicane has been now come through the right and left. Lovely job there by Montana. Now coming through the end of the middle sector. Very quick end of the middle sector. We should be expecting lap times here maybe around the 1:13 mark, I would say. Maybe even a little quicker than that. It's now Montana runs through the final corners at Ravazza, out of the final corner, now through the kink of turn 19, and that is a lap on board with Imola. Montana to the line, a 1:14.1 to start off the night. Not too shabby at all.
No. I would expect these guys to be getting into the 13s, to be honest. I would say like a 13.7 would be my prediction for pole. That's a very good opening gambit from them.
Yeah, really good opening lap there for Montana. Campbell goes second, Verstappen in third as well, so they're not too far off the pace early. But looking at these times, it is going to be very difficult, of course, to try and improve on your first lap. Rocco is coming through the final corner as well. He's through Ravazza, and now on the run up towards the line. It is a different start-finish line on this game compared to what we've experienced, of course, on the old game in F1 2013. There is a yellow flag. I think there's an Aston Martin that is stowed. That might be Neo off a lap. Rocco has finished his lap. He goes 6th position, 1:14.9. But currently Montana holding the top. Repaz, though, in second position, 14.2. For somebody that I don't know anything about, that's a quick lap.
That is very impressive. You know, I've never seen him around at all. Not, you know, like he's normally stumbled into people in other tier ones, but that's very impressive to be the likes of Daniel, Verstappen and Campbell, and Nathan and Neo.
Is it Connor reborn, perhaps, in that Mercedes? That's what I'm thinking, at 14.2. We definitely don't want that to happen, but Repaz, very quick driver, it seems, 114.2, ahead of Campbell and Verstappen, who were two very consistent drivers in their own right. Daniel, by the way, went 5th on his lap as well, 114.4. Not sure who was out on track. Actually, we've seen a spinner. Rocco was spun, coming through. I think that's Aqua Minerale he is spun. So Rocco was spun, coming through Aqua Minerale, where Mazepin, of course, went off nearly in the real-life race in F1 2021. Montana, though, out on top. Yildirim, though, goes second.
Good lap. Just right on board with Nathan and Dylan there. They were battling into the pit, which is quite bizarre. I can only assume they're in a party.
I think they are in a party, to be honest. You would imagine so, to be honest. Nathan up in 7th. He was right behind Montana as well on his that lap. He might have been wanting a bit of a slipstream from Montana on his first lap, but he's there in 7th position. Back into the garage he goes. A 114.651 is his current best in 7th. His teammate, actually, Neo, just in behind him. Not on a lap at this stage. Camera angles, by the way, I've got to complain about the camera angles around here. They look absolutely shocking compared to Portimao, what obviously we've experienced with another new track on the game. Montana obviously out on top, though. Yildirim in 2nd, Repaz in 3rd. These camera angles, though, are going to probably do my head in. Yeah,
they're a little bit... They're too close. You know, you can't get a real kind of bit... And they're too low as well. Not a fan of them at all. Portimao's are lovely in comparison.
Yeah, it is indeed. This is now coming through in towards Variante Alta at the top of the hill. This is pretty much the highest point of the track he is at now. On the dip down in towards Ravazza at turn 16, 17, and then, of course, through 17 and 18, I should say, Ravazza, and then through, of course, the kink of turn 19 as Izza now comes through the final corner. The flying Indonesian now comes across the line, or towards the line. He's going to set at 114, I think. It's a 114.9. Drops in behind Rocco. Not a bad lap there by Izza. Many drivers, though, beginning that out laps. Many drivers actually coming out the pits, and Campbell very close there to the front of Izza. Izza was nearly coming across the right-hand side. May have wanted to go on another run. Not sure if he is going to go on another run. We'll see through the end of the first sector if he is. End of the first sector is after the Villeneuve chicane. And it's 24 flat, so he is 2/10 up.
I'll tell you something here. Ryan B... Yes, it's their first lap, but Ryan B in D4 was doing a 14.34 in quali, so he obviously loves this track. This has made me feel a lot better, seeing the likes of Rocco do a 14.9. So that's made me feel a world better compared to this, because yeah, there's some quick times out there, but I think the pace difference is going to show on this track. If you haven't practiced it, most of these guys probably don't.
Izza goes for a spin at the top of Variante Alta. Sorry to cut you off there, Mark, but Izza spins coming off the curb, actually on the sausage go, on the outside of Variante Alta, on the exit, spins the car. Luckily, I don't think no damage. He's got the rear of that car pretty much embedded nearly in the wall, but I think the tyre just bounced off and he just bounced off the wall completely. So Izza down in 10th position.
ASAS is, I think he just went fastest in Sector 1, unless the game is playing tricks on me. So he's looking to be on a pretty tidy lap here as he's going through Aqua Minerale.
Yeah, Justus then on a lap on the run up in towards Variante Alta at 16 and 15 and 16. I swear I'm going to get these corner names calling as Justus actually invalidates coming through Variante Alta. It's so difficult that chicane because you don't know really where the curb and the track limits actually are. And that's one thing about a new track. You don't know where the limits are. So these guys will be pushing the limits too much in Justus's case. He's down there in 13th at the minute. Montana on an out lap. Yildirim on an out lap. Repaz coming through the end of the first sector, 400s up. Campbell not sure what he did through the first sector. Verstappen is invalid on his second lap as well. So we'll run aboard with Campbell, see how he's getting on. 4th position, 114.2. Currently a 10th and a half up, so theoretically he's going to go pole.
It's got a bit of traffic in the way though. This might not be ideal at all.
He's got the AlphaTauri, and that is Yildirim actually ahead of him. And I think he's just going to get away with that, and actually doesn't get away with a bit of a curb cut coming through Ravazza. The first spot of Ravazza at 17. He's back into the pit lane to Campbell. Will not play any further part, certainly on this part of the session. He's back into the pit lane in 4th. Repaz, however, looks like he's on a good lap in the Mercedes. He's now coming through Ravazza at turn 18, and now through the kink at turn 19. This might be the quickest lap we've seen so far. The Mercedes putting it to Montana. 113.7. That's a bit more like it in terms of the times around here. Repaz out on top. Montana is a 10th up through the first sector.
Wow. Who is this guy?
As I say, Connor reborn, maybe?
We'll tell from the connection.
No, really good, impressive lap, I've got to say, from Repals. As I say, no knowledge of the guy whatsoever. Absolutely insane lap, 113.7. We're finding out as much details as we are, pretty much, as these guys are right on track as well. Montana, by the way, is a tenth and a half up, coming in through Variante Alta, on the run down in towards Ravazza. Repals, though, out on top. Montana second, Yildirim in third. Verstappen now goes third, actually, 114.1. It's a good lap from him, as now Montana comes through the second part of Ravazza, nearly invalidates, coming out of the final corner. Is it going to improve ahead of Repals? No! 113.9! Repaz, where were you in round one of the championship, my friend? 113.7, outgunning the soon-to-be crowned Division 1 champion here for the third time. Montana, second, 13.9. He's a tenth and 3/4 off.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible, that. Fair play. I mean, there could be some setup variation here as well. You know, as much as I said, get up to the front. Some of these guys might compromise this up slightly. We've got someone very wide.
Cantera in the gravel there, coming through Villeneuve chicane. That was so wide, I thought he was going to go to, like, I don't know, Mugello or somewhere like that. He's got a lot of gravel on those tyres. Cantera, 15.9. I think he just came off his laps. He's on an out lap. And there is a little bit, there's a McLaren actually taking out polystyrene boards. Is that Larkin by any chance? Yes, it is Larkin. He's on the grass doing a bit of lawn mowing.
Yeah, they're checking out the fine wineries around this area. Just having a look up in the hills. By the looks of it, a few of them. Cantera and Larkin going a bit off-piste.
Yeah, hopefully they're not thinking about the alcohol that might be involved within this race, of course. We are, of course, in the wine region of Italy. Near Bologna, in fact, this track is based. Repaz the Wild on top, Montana second, Jordi in third. Good lap there by Jordi, actually. The Dutchman, he debuted, of course, last week in Monza. My mind nearly served me incorrect there. Jordi in with a 114 flat. Good lap time from him. Wouter not on the lap in the minute. The Williams is back into the pit lane. Anybody else on the lap? I think Nathan is. 400s up in the first sector.
Is that was, but then he span it. So he's really struggling out there today. I've got a lot of sympathy for him because I know how he feels.
I think everyone's going to struggle to an extent. Nathan has just invalidated coming out of Aqua Minerale as well. So Nathan on the exit of Aqua Minerale invalidates 14.6. He was up in the middle sector as well. I think he is going to come back in speed. And it looks like a majority of these guys are actually running. It looks as if they're running like a low fuel setup to try and get the fastest times possible. There was only a short track around here at Imola. And of course, they got rid of the chicane back in 2007 or 2008. They got rid of the chicane. MotoGP also runs around here and they added the chicane back in 2009 when they came here, and they've literally never been back since, unless they're going back this year, which I think they are.
I'm just looking at the sector ones because there's the two chicanes, and the time difference between Reapers and the others is quite a lot in sector one. I would assume maybe they're running a slightly compromised setup potentially because that gap is rather large.
Campbell, by the way, complained about Yildirim in the Discord I've just seen, saying that it's not distracting whatsoever. So I think Yildirim obviously got in the way. He joined pretty much through, it was into Ravazza. He was on the left-hand side of the track, pretty much came on the racing line. Campbell was a little way away, but it's still quite off-putting for the driver. Izza has completely botched at the Villeneuve chicane. He's ran wide. Still, however, it's valid. I don't know how that's valid, to be honest, when you take a trip through the gravel. Izza not on a lap, though. He's 1.2 seconds down.
Yeah, I have sympathy for Campbell because when you have a crowd of people, I wouldn't say it's purely Yildirim in that sense because there was about 4 or 5 cars up ahead. And I think it was just the overall distraction of it, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, honestly, especially around the short track like this, you are going to get traffic problems. I mean, with 16 drivers, there's going to be barely any space out there. Imagine if it was a full grid, 20 drivers, they'd be fighting for literally about 2 seconds of room pretty much to try and get a buffer between the car in front and the car behind, and that's what these guys have got to try and prioritise. Repaz blew out on top, Montana in second, Yordi in third. Neo was the first one to come back out of the pit lane, so he looks like he's going to get in for 2 laps. So 1:14.469. He's actually 200th of a second off Daniel, who in turn is 1,000th of a second behind Wouter, so it is quite close between those three.
Yeah, I think it's compounded as well, because you've got these guys that are going out early, and then you've got the other group that are just coming out of the pits now that are going out late. So that's going to cause potential issues for Neo here. He could probably catch quite a few of them, but you can't worry about it. You've just kind of got to get on with it, haven't you? And it is kind of what it is. But that's the risk of coming out this early and doing 2 potential laps.
Yeah, definitely. So I think there's a Red Bull coming to the end of the pit lane who will swiftly get out of the way. Neo, I think, is going to get a clean run at this lap. He is coming out of the pit lane in the Red Bull. That is, I believe, Rocco coming out the pit lane, if I'm not mistaken. Dylan's still in there. So Neo coming through Tamburello. Now in toward the Villeneuve chicane and towards the end of the first sector. Rocco getting away swiftly to the left-hand side. Neo now coming through the Villeneuve chicane. Very, very nice flat out through there. Very nice indeed. 700s up from the German through the end of the first sector. Now in towards Tulsa. And now on the run up in towards Pirotella, and this is the part of the track where the invalidations are really going to try and come into play. Neil now coming through Pirotella on the run down in towards Aqua Minerale. Aqua Minerale, of course, being this double right-hander of turn 12, and then through the right-hander here of turn 13, and then through the left-hander of turn 14. Nicely done by Neil towards the end of the middle sector. Not looking too bad in terms of the middle sector. He's a 10th up, so he's found a bit more time in this middle sector. Takes it a bit slow coming through Variante Alta. Might have just degraded that time away. However, on the run down in towards Ravata, this is where you're going to gain the time back. Neo on the run down in towards Ravata through turn 17, and then through the left-hander of turn 18, looking good and running the curbs nicely out of the final corner. It's a good lap from Neo. Where's it going to put him? On the run to the line. Neo does improve by 0.2 of a second, and he actually puts himself up to 7th.
Great lap as you'll bring him over the line. Wow, 13.7.
Campbell as well is on a really good lap. He's now running to the line, 13.8. He just goes behind Yildirim. Repaz, 400 sound. I think he's backed off this lap. He might get another crack of the cherry, but Repaz out on top. Yildirim second, Campbell in third. Montana only a 10th up coming through the end of the first sector.
Yeah, he's struggling. He's struggling a little bit here. So this is, I mean, you can make a lot of time here, or you can lose a lot of time.
Wow.
In this particular sector, he's going for it. Looked a little bit hesitant there.
If you're hesitant into the Variant Alta, you'll degrade the speed away, and I think that's what Montana might have just felt, but now on the run down into Ravata, we'll see what it's going to happen. Through turn 17, now through turn 18, he's got to find an absolute miracle final sector to try and land this onto pole position. Montana now running to the line, and he does! 13.6, and now Repaz has got to respond. He's just started up his lap ahead, actually, so Montana out on top, Repaz in second, Yildirim in third. Anybody else coming out the pack? I think Campbell I thought he was 3/10 up. I don't know why I thought that. Yordi is coming out at the end of the first sector, and he's looking quite good as well, as actually he's invalid.
You've got Rocco coming to the line. I think this is going to be, it's going to strike, he'll improve, very improved will have to jump Larkin and Nathan. Oh, he does. Good lap.
Good lap from him. He goes 10th. There is a car off as well. Izzo, I think, was off coming through Variante Alta, and Alpine of Cantera was also off coming through there. A movement up the order. Justas goes 5th. Good lap from him. Repaz, though, coming through the end of the middle sector. This is where it's going to be. He's 2,000ths down. He's got to find the time all in this final sector. Runs Variante Alta. That was more committed than Montana. He might have just gained the time enough to try and get pole position. Mercedes front row lockout, it seems. Yildirim is back into the pit lane. Campbell has backed off his lap. So it's all down to Repaz. Now coming through turn 17. Through turn 18 Ravata. He runs wide slightly. He's still committed for the lap, and actually he's into the pit lane. So Repaz was not happy with that final sector. Back into the pit lane he goes. 113.7 retires from the session, and I think, unless Nathan's on the lap, he actually crashes into the pit lane. Daniel's not on the lap either. That is the end of qualifying, and Montana, by the scruff of his neck, I don't know how he pulled out that lap, but 13.6 on the back foot in all of that qualifying session, somehow gets out on top ahead of his teammate and Yildirim in third.
Yeah, what an impressive debut qualifying from Con Reapers. But just the grid there, look at the, I mean, you got guys like Daniel and Neo so low down, even Nathan as well. I mean, I think Nathan is someone that does tend to struggle at wheel-focused tracks, as you'd understand, because he's on a pad. But he seems to struggle, much like me, in a lot more than someone, say, like Verstappen or Killer Blue in D2, who can tend to be a little bit more adaptable. But yeah, that just shows you the pace that the 100 precision tier champion is in 14th, a full second off of pole in D1. So yeah, it gives you a testament to how quick some of these guys are, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Montana out on top. Repaz is not British, by the way. He is German. He's in second position. Good lap from him, nonetheless, on his debut. Yulbream in third. Campbell in fourth. Justas in fifth. Yodi in sixth with Verstappen, Ruta, Daniel, and Neo rounding off the top 10. Just over 5/10 of a second, actually, covering the top 10. Rocco there in 11th. There's a whole Excel gang, actually, down here with Dylan in 12th. Nathan's splitting a lot. I don't think Jav is going to be happy with that, to be honest. Locking down in 14th. Izza and Cantera not really getting comparative laps in. So Izza there down in 15th position. Cantera certainly didn't get a comparative lap in a 1:15.9. He is right at the back of the field. I didn't see Alphatrix join in the session either, so it looks like Alphatrix is missing tonight. That's who we were waiting on. That's why we started a little bit late. But we are about to get going, of course, into Imola for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. I have brushed up on my pronunciation, luckily, of Emilia-Romagna, which is fantastic. But we are getting, of course, into a heavy rain, wet, full wet race. Certainly the start.
Really good news if you want to watch the sprint race at 7:30. nice 15 seconds a lap slower race. That's what we're after.
Cody's does like to throw a curveball, though.
Oh, it does. Absolutely. Be interesting to see if anyone tries the Jarno Opmeer. Goes on the Inters. I wouldn't recommend it. Those puddles look bigger than the average swimming pool in the mountains of Emilia-Romagna.
Yeah, there's a lot of standing water, to be honest, on the track, so that's why it is actually intermediate conditions. I thought it was full wet, so it is actually intermediate conditions. So I think everyone is doing the Arno Opmeer stage, certainly. 32 laps, of course, awaiting the drivers out on track. Everyone on that set of Inters. Mercedes front row lockout, of course. We saw what happened in real life, of course, between Verstappen and Hamilton down in towards Tamburello. Could we see the same scenes again if Repaz gets a better start than Montana?
Potentially, because the problem is the corner by nature, it's a chicane, it backs onto itself. So just because you've got the inside for the first part means you're going to have the outside in the second part. So you're not going to want to concede any space where possible. That said, getting alongside means someone's going to have a bad start. But it's a lot easier to have a bad start on a wet. Obviously, the traction is harder, and it is definitely more possible.
Yeah, definitely. So Montana is obviously out on top. Repaz in second. In terms of the championship, by the way, Montana obviously out on top. If the race wasn't to be run, and if we were to finish here, it seems as if Montana will wrap up the championship. Verstappen's down there in 7th position. I wouldn't say disappointing qualifying from him. He just didn't have the pace to really light up to the top guy. So Verstappen, he has got his work cut out. But if I know Verstappen very well, he will really relish these intermediate conditions, and he could be making places early.
100%. I think it's going to be tough for people that are starting towards the back, of course, because you don't have that advantage of any kind of alt strat. But with that said, the guys on the pads will probably be appreciative of this. That it's wet, a little bit easier. Probably the skill gap is slightly different and slightly closer than it would be if it was dry.
Yeah, I've just seen the predicted pit stop strategy, by the way. You did not see that, I don't think, but a zero-stop strategy, it says. Which is the first time I've ever seen it in the game. A zero-stop strategy. One stop, I think, was lap 16 to lap 31. So probably from around lap 16 if the guys were to change. But the final cars are joining on. I wish we had a better camera angle than this instead of facing 16 rampaging lions on the run down in towards Sermon. Montana is out on top. Repaz in second. The Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix about to begin. And it's Montana who leads them off. Repaz in second. And Montana gets the start that he needed. Repaz in second. Yulbream in third. And Yulbream already on the inside line, down in towards turn 1, and Repaz has been outgunned actually by Yulbrim, and Yulbrim could dive it down the inside line in towards turn 1 at Tamburello. There's an Alpha Male gun straight on, that's Yordi in the gravel. He cuts across nicely. Montana leads the way. Yulbrim in second. There was a little bit of contact, I think, with Repaz. He's there in third. He's defending very hard, the German. Off the Lithuanian of Justas. Rocco and Dylan are dropping down positions. Larkin has dropped down a position as well from the start, but Montana leads the way. Yulbrim in second. Repaz in third. There's Carl's Alpha in the gravel. Nathan got caught up in an instant, I think, with Izza. Izza now down into 16th position, so the Bolts Relentless boys coming into a little bit of contact, or certainly dropping down positions. Montana, though, leads the way. Yulbrim in second. Repaz in third. Through the first half lap we go.
Yeah, there's already some breaks in the train that have kind of really appeared, and Montana is looking very dangerous already.
He is indeed 9/10 of a second on the run up towards Variante Alta at the top of the hill through 16 and 17. Verstappen right on the back of his teammate. Luckily for Verstappen, he has gained a position past Wouter. Campbell now has lost a position actually to Justas, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So Campbell now down in 5th, Verstappen there in 6th. He has got to try and really push this on the run down in towards, as Izza is about to go side by side possibly with Cantera on the run down towards Ravata there. Very hard on the brakes, and Cantera just about gets that car stopped, otherwise he would have been into the back of Nathan. This is right down the back of the field. Montana does lead the way though. On to lap 2 we go. 1:27.513, the fastest lap from Montana. He leads the way. Yulbrim in second, and Yulbrim just using a bit of deployment to try and catch it. 8/10 of a second down in towards Tamburello. Repaz in third, Justas in fourth. Campbell in fifth, Verstappen in sixth. Wouter there in seventh. Run over the sausage curb slightly. Gets a better run out for them. Verstappen, and Verstappen seems to be struggling early on, and Wouter trying to go down the inside line and towards Villeneuve chicane doesn't. Rocco, however, is through on Dylan. Dylan had a poor run out of Tamburello, and now Rocco was through and he's into P11. So the two Red Bulls swap around.
Yeah, it's looking like Verstappen is struggling a little bit for the pace, but then again, you look at the gaps; they all look to be gapping each other in the top kind of 6. So some incredible. Ooh, was Wouter getting very sideways there, allowing Daniel to close in. So this is just going to be so hard because this track is tough as it is. You know, we haven't got years of playing it, and these conditions is going to be a real test of endurance.
Yeah, Daniel having a bit of snap of oversteer as well, coming out of Aqua Minerale. So Daniel now losing the time to Wouter. He's got to try and get onto the back of him. I have just cracked my tooth, I think, which is terrible. Montana leads the way. Yulbrim in second, Repaz in third, Justas in fourth. That's the first time. This is live commentary, you can probably tell. Izza's on the back of Cantera for 15th and 16th, not making any moves. Larkin looked like he was under pressure from Nathan, and behind Nathan actually gaps him a little bit, and actually Larkin is going to get close to Dylan here on the run down in towards Tamburello at turn 1 with the deployment in effect. Can the McLaren catch the Red Bull in time? I don't think he will, unless there's going to be a Bottas and Russell collision like there was back in 2020. Montana though out to the top, Yulbrim in second, Repaz in third, and actually that was 2021 I should say, not 2020. Dylan has a really poor run out and Larkin is through. So Larkin, the position tier winner of course around here last night in one hub, now through and he's into P12.
Yeah, Larkin is just going to take this race as get round, get no pens, and just hope for something to happen up front. I think that's going to be his approach, and just pick up on mistakes like the one Dylan just made.
Yeah, I think they've got to hope for a safety car. Those further down the field, especially from 11th downwards, I think, they're gapped outside of a DRS train. If there was a DRS train, obviously, it's still intermediate conditions out on track. But Montana's still leading the way, and the gaps are really beginning to extend themselves. It's a bit like a bit of a stretched out washing line at this stage. The top 4 relatively pulling away. Justas is on the back of Repaz. Repaz had a really bad start. He's only lost 1 position, but he is a little way off Yulbrim. Yulbrim looks like he's excelling so far in terms of his pace around here. Repaz, however, not so. First 3-second time penalty of the night, and again runs wide, coming on the exit of Ravata. So Repaz got to be careful. He doesn't want to pick up any more warnings than what he actually showed. As Justas again trying to catch onto the back in towards Tamburello, but I don't think he's going to get the move done yet. He's not going to come from that far back. The Ferrari on the back of Repaz, the Mercedes hanging on to third, but that 3-second penalty might just unsettle them.
Can break your confidence, can just shatter that, you know, that kind of concentration. Just ASS is closing onto the back of them, but they've really dropped Campbell.
Yeah, Repaz I think is catching Yulbrim as well in this out of the middle sector. Campbell's had a really poor run out in behind as well with Verstappen. And if you were the Haas boys at this stage, Verstappen obviously, He needs every single point to try and get him the championship. So why doesn't Campbell let him through? Is it because Verstappen just hasn't got the pace?
Yeah, I think they'd be probably just... They're going to trip over each other whichever way they do it, if I'm being completely honest. I think they're probably very similar in pace from the looks of this. So I just think it is what it is. They're on track. They just need to get round and just make sure that they don't lose any time to the guys behind, really.
Yeah, Verstappen is on the back of Campbell. We could see him move possibly in towards Tamburello. Could be the first overtake of the night that we could actually ride on board with. Rain is beginning to get a little bit easier, I think, though, out on track. So the rain is beginning to ease slightly. Whether or not it's just light rain or if it stops completely and the track dries out quickly, who knows what is going to happen. Lap 5 out of 32, Montana leads the way. Yildirim in second, Repaz in third, Justas in fourth. Definitely, though, the rain is beginning to ease in intensity out on track. That can normally mean one or two things. As I say, light rain possible, or we could have a switch to dries. And I think it's going to be the latter, because this rain is stopping quite quick.
No, I agree. I think one thing I'm noticing out here, if I was Ruto, I'd be really burning that battery. Trying to get on the back of them, because you know that the Haas boys are pretty comfortable at how it is. Get a bit of deployment done, get right up close, make them have to worry and think. We got Rocco and Neo.
Yep.
We missed all. Neo's made a mistake. He's lost 2 places there. He's lost one to Larkin as well. So still not a natural overtake as of yet.
No, I think Neil made a mistake coming out of Tulsa, and that's why Rocco and Larkin have gone through. So Rocco and Larkin through, up to 10th and 11th. The XL train, hop on board if you are the Rentless boys, and behind Nathan and Izza, certainly trying to get involved in that Cantera, splitting the pair of them, of course. Still, lap 6 about to begin. Montana leads the way, 1.6 seconds, looking quite comfortable out in front. The rain hasn't really stopped. It is still raining, it is quite light. The track though is beginning to dry, you can tell. 24 flat from Repaz responds in behind, so the track definitely beginning to get a little bit quicker, especially because they're now beginning to burn up the batteries as well. And that's what you mentioned with Ruta, 57% of battery life compared to Verstappen, who's on 56, so around the same point, but Daniel in behind around 56. So again, they're just using up just little amounts, little increments really of the ERS to try and use, as Daniel nearly gets caught wide coming out of the Tamburello chicane. He's still on the back of Ruta, but that was a slight mistake, and again coming out of Villeneuve, another slight mistake, and it's just costing him just a 10th or 2 here and there.
So now Jordi to close up a little bit, he'll be gutted it was raining. His dry pace looked phenomenal, and he just had that mistake at the end of lap 1, and he's kind of found himself all the way down here.
Yeah, Jordi, of course, I think went straight on into the Tamburello chicane. He completely locked up the brakes, and that's why he obviously ran through the gravel to avoid everyone, which was the best thing to do, to be honest, around a track like this at Imola. But he's down there in 9th position. He is in a bit of no man's land, but if the rain was to stop and the dry compounded tyres were to come on, the DRS, of course, would be enabled. He's actually in this DRS turn. He's pulled 3.2 seconds to Rocco, so Jordi has got good pace now. Nathan now picking up a second 3-second time penalty of the night for everyone. Nathan's first 3-second time penalty. Montana, though, look at the track, beginning to get on with things. 23.6 Yildirim, 23.8 there for Montana. Track definitely beginning to evolve. The rain hasn't stopped just yet, however, I'm thinking next 2 or 3 minutes it will.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what these guys do. I imagine they'll slap on the mediums from here.
Yeah.
Because I think it's about lap 9 or 10 in a natural dry race. So almost certainly they'll be sticking on mediums, unless anyone goes a bit wild, sticks on the softs and prays for a safety car to do an into soft stint potentially.
Yeah, well, you never know around a track like Imola. We could have more rain later in the race. The way this track is actually located, it's near Bologna, and Bologna is in the southern part of Italy, I believe. So that's why we normally get more rain here than actually anything else. We obviously had pretty much a changeable race in 2021. Obviously, Russell Bottas, Verstappen, Hamilton coming together. Montana, though, still leading the way. 2 seconds the gap. Daniel looks like he's struggling now, though. He's just lost the back of Ruta. Now Jordi is right on the back of him. Further down the field, though, nothing really happening. And honestly, if you are tuning into this race, thank you for tuning in, because honestly, it's been an absolute bore fest so far.
It's not been the best, has it? It tends to be like this when the weather is a factor, unfortunately. It gets quite processional, but yeah, look at this track evolving now.
It's only evolving by a couple of tenths a lap, but Justas there, 23.4. Very quick lap from him, fastest lap out of everyone so far. He's put 4.4 seconds to Campbell. That gap was only 3.4 last time around. So Justas has pulled out a second pretty much to Campbell, and Campbell seems to be the one, the Scotsman, that is struggling so far out on track. Verstappen there in 6th, doing a good job. Roots are there in 7th. Further down the field though, Cantera and Izza, I dare say it's a battle, but it really isn't. Cantera's 15th, Izza in 16th, 5/10 of a second away. Pretty much the closest battle, if you could call it that, out on track. Izza and Cantera just haven't looked confident, if I've got to be honest, in these conditions. Especially so now, Cantera nearly ran on the gravel. He's picked up a 3-second time penalty because of it as well. So, ultimate commentator's curse, the first one of the night.
Yeah, these guys are not loving this at all, I don't think.
Oh! Has Montana made a mistake out in front? I think Montana has made a mistake. Coming out of Varianta, coming out through Aqua Minerale, gap was 1.9, it's now 1.6. It was down to 1.4 just before they hit Varianta Alta. So I think Montana, we haven't caught that, but I think he's just made a slight mistake coming out of Aqua Minerale.
Yeah, he's going to feel a little bit more human now. Those little kind of 3 or 4 tenth, losses, they knock your confidence a bit. So he just needs to remain focused, and because sometimes mistakes breed mistakes in this kind of spot.
Yeah, focused he is, to be honest. He's looking quite dominant, I've got to say, out in front. There's a bit of an aura about him so far in this race, where obviously he's not overextending things. He's got Yulbream, the NSX boy, in behind, Repaz as well in 3rd, and then you've got Justas, your former teammate, in 4th. So obviously Justas already had a little bit of drama in Portimao, of course, a few races ago, but the less we dwell on that, the better. He's doing a good job, I've got to say, in 4th, and they're still putting out the gap to Campbell in behind.
Yeah, they're really opening it up, and it's going to be interesting. Apparently there's only another 5 to 10 minutes of rain.
Yep. I was just going to go on to that. You've just stolen my thunder there, Mark. Thank you very much. Jav, by the way, said he's only here for me, apparently, and I'm keeping him awake. I really hope I am keeping you awake, to be honest. There is sprint qualifying, the sprint race in about 20 minutes. So, in real life, that is, we are still on lap 10 out of 32. The rain is beginning to ease, and as we alluded to, obviously dry compound tyres is going to be coming on. The track is going to degrade through. We should be seeing lap times in the race on dry compound tyres, what, 1:15s?
Maybe a little bit slower, maybe 16 potentially. I don't know. It depends on the fuel. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how someone like Yordi, who is struggling in these conditions, we saw his dry pace. How's he going to get on? Someone like Larkin, conversely, he's probably going to struggle when it goes dry. So, but what will be very interesting at this point is Campbell and Verstappen are going to have a nightmare. Reapers is going to lose out, as is probably Larkin to Daniel, because of the teammate situation when it does go dry.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, Nathan's in the wall! Nathan in the wall coming out of Tamburello. That could deploy a safety car out on track, and it is a safety car out on track. He just got caught on the outside curb. He had a better run out than Neil, I think it was. Neil was in front, or Larkham was in front, one of the two. And Nathan, unfortunately, I caught that in POV as well. So unfortunately for him, he's out the race. Disappointing race from Nathan's perspective. He wasn't looking comfortable in the conditions. Safety car now deployed. And that's what happens. One mistake, you're in the wall.
What do they do? Do they pit? Do they pit for the drive? Someone should.
If it's 10 minutes of rain, I think they should stay out and then come in. Because the safety car is only going to be out, probably 2 laps at least? So I'm thinking if they come in, 2 laps around team under the safety car is around 5 minutes. And Montana, actually, ignore that. He's into the pit lane. Yulbream into the pits, and they're making quite late decisions. Oh, I thought Justas was going to go into the back of Repaz there, into the pit lane. Justas gets his pit limiter on. Campbell, Verstappen stay out. So both Campbell and Verstappen stay out. Inspired decision, I think, from both the Haas boys. Obviously, they feel that the Inters are obviously still going to work, and the rain isn't going to be falling as much as what it will be. Rocco was also stayed out. I think Neo was stayed out in all of this as well. So they're going to be the top 4. Campbell, Verstappen, Rocco, and Neo are the ones that stayed out. Izza has also stayed out, I think, and he's now into 5th. So all of the guys, Campbell, Verstappen, Rocco, Neo, and Izza, have stayed out. And honestly, if I've got to be honest, I think they've made the right call.
It's going to be tough. What's interesting is that it's the pit loss here is huge. About 30 seconds in normal conditions. So it's going to be tough. I mean, these guys are going to want to get a move on with it. Every second they're out is going to cost them. The Haas guys, you know, they want this race to get underway as quick as possible. But what will be interesting is someone like Larkin and Dillon and Cantera don't really have much incentive to catch that pack. You know, they're and also it's going to be hard for them to catch that pack because they're on dry tyres in wet conditions as the rain is flittering down now. It's just coming down, but that's going to be a factor because it's not going to come in this lap. It is going to come in next lap. You would assume the guys are catching. But yeah, it's going to have one more lap as the rain is just there, isn't it? It's just kind of tickling, dusting of rain that you get when you walk to the shop.
Yeah, it's a bit like drizzle, to be honest. In fact, it's actually stopped. The rain has now stopped out on track. Campbell, Verstappen, they've got to decide to come in, and they haven't. They haven't came in. Rocco is in. Rocco is in. Neo is in. Izza is also in. Izza has stayed out, actually. But Rocco and Neo are both in. And on a set of medium compound size, they're in. Daniel also pitted, by the way, for fresh adventures. He thought the rain was going to be further on, but it's not. The rain has stopped now out on track. Everyone on a set of mediums is going to be quicker. And, of course, they've got to wait 3 laps at least for the DRS to be enabled. So normally in a race, when the intermediate conditions go off, the track gets quicker. Obviously, we see DRS enabled, but under the safety car, DRS is not going to be enabled for another 3 laps.
Cantera just got past Rocco there. I wonder if he's going to be allowed to keep that place. I think he is. It was very close. But, I don't know. I mean, the track does still look a little bit wet. That's all I would say. And I think Daniel might have put a real fly in the ointment, though, because unless they get close, it might be out another lap because of that. And I think maybe that's why Larkin is hanging back as well, potentially. As I say that, he closes right onto the back.
Yeah, it depends on how quick Dillon is to try and catch the back. I think it all relies on Dillon trying to catch the back and then the rest following in. So Daniel certainly catching the guys in front of him. So I think we're going to see maybe safety car in this lap, I would assume. Campbell is obviously going to be leading the safety car as the virtual Bermander if we do decide to come in this lap. However, looking at it, I think Dillon has backed off slightly. And also a back off that, I think that was Repaz, if I'm not mistaken, in the mid-pack. Also backing off, and certainly the safety car is going to be in this lap. In fact, I thought it was going to be in next lap, but it's a very late call coming through Ravazza. And now Campbell, look at him, he's right on the back of the safety car. He's going to be following these guys, following the safety car in, or is he going to floor it? Yes, he floors it, and now Campbell leads the way under the restart. Here we go in Imola, lap 13 out of 32. Campbell leads the way. Verstappen in second. Verstappen now ahead of Montana in terms of the championship. It's not enough though, because Montana looks like he's going to crown the champion, the champion. He hits nice, and already you can see in terms of the mediums compared to the set of enters, isn't it? He spins in front of Montana. Montana's going to lap that position, and he's now through, and he's into third into the Villeneuve chicane. Montana though, it just barely looks like it's more intermediate conditions than it is medium conditions. But Montana now on the back through Tulsa is on the back, and surely Montana's probably going to be in the lead by the end of this race. And you can see him actually warming up the tyres as Yildirim is nearly going side by side with Izza on the run up in towards Piratella. Campbell though leads the way. Verstappen in second, Montana in third, and look, Montana already onto the back into Aqua Minerale, and it's not Inters anymore, it's certainly Dries.
It is.
And look at that.
Is it?
What a move! Coming out of Aqua Minerale's through. Montana is through and he's into second. Izza is dropping all the way down the field as well. But Montana through, coming out of Aqua Minerale. And look at this, he's on the back now down in towards Ravazza. He's going to have to think about going on the outside line. And Campbell, this of course has championship permutations. Montana though through into the lead of the race. Through Ravazza he goes, and he's through and he's into the lead of the race. And looking behind, Campbell and Verstappen have got a wall of cars. I don't think Yildirim's even going to be in DRS ranges. Both Hasses now, or one of them at least, has to come in because Verstappen stays plays out, and Verstappen is going to be literally like a rolling roadblock at this stage, and now it could work to the effect as Justas nearly tries to make a 3 wide on the run down in towards Peratella, and look at repass down the inside line in towards Tamburello, I should say, and Justas now into third. Verstappen is holding up all of these guys. He makes Ruta run wide as well, and now Ruta down the inside line in towards the Villeneuve chicane. Verstappen has to back out of that. It's not Inters anymore. It certainly drives. Montana leads by 2 seconds. Verstappen, though, completes wheeling the ultimate. That's his championship down the drain.
He should have double stacked, because this is also quite dangerous. He could easily get himself in a nasty incident, and he's doing the right thing. He's just kind of backing off where possible. But double stacking would have been more preferable to this, I think.
Yeah, definitely so. He's down in 10th position. Daniel's run on the back of him as well. Rocco now. And all of these guys are being held up into Aqua Minerale now. So this is going to cause absolute all sorts of good. Obviously, Verstappen is still a car out on track, and they've got to respect him. And it's simple as that. But Verstappen down in 12th position. Unfortunately for him, the tactics, I'm not sure if they listened to me. Certainly if they did, then I've just ruined Verstappen's chance of a possible championship. Verstappen, though, down in 13th. Race well and truly run. Championship now. Montana, as long as he finishes, will win the championship here tonight. Yep,
that will be that. Unless there's a big safety car situation. Verstappen does pit. If I'm him, I'm sticking on softs. I'm just going to stick him on. I'm going to try and get back up to that pack as quickly as possible and just hope for another SC.
He's not going to listen.
No, he's not going to listen.
He's on a set of mediums. He doesn't listen to you, I'm afraid, Knox. Sorry to really cut that short. But Verstappen, set of medium compound tyres. Cantera, by the way, is going side by side with Dylan in towards Tosa. And Cantera was right on the back there. He's not on the back of him any longer. But there was a little bit of a challenge there from Cantera on the back of Dylan. 8th position. And, of course, the pack is split because Verstappen held up so many people. Yildirim's actually got more pace than Montana, which is quite strange.
I just want to give it... Ooh, Reaper with another player. I just want to give a shout out to Cantera because he's looked bloody awful this race, but he's found himself somehow in 9th. So, kudos to him.
He's doing a phenomenal job. He was down right at the back of the field along with Izza. He was 15th and 16th. They were battling out under the intermediates. And Cantera now on the back of Dylan. This is probably going to be the cleanest overtake you might see all night, as now he's right on the back of Dylan. Dylan has got no DRS, and obviously Dylan now is going to be under pressure from Cantera, because here comes the flying Alpine on the back down in towards Tamburello. Is he going to think about getting the move done around the outside of Tamburello? Not quite. Ruta, though, is through on Yodi as well, and Yodi has a mistake and he's in the wall. Yodi is in the wall and has retired from the race, lost his front wing. He's retired out the race, off track luckily, but still retiring on track. Disappointing from Yordi. And I think, to be honest, that all of that spawned possibly from him and Ruta going side by side through Tamburello.
Thankfully no SC or VSC to kind of mess up the race, as we are now down to 14 competitors. So there's hope for the Haas boys to get a couple of points here.
There is hope, but they need a safety car. They need a VSC, something that can really work in their matter. Izza as well, down in 13th position. He has had a wretched race so far as well. He's down there in 13th. Montana, though, leads the way. Yulbream looks quicker than Montana, and this could throw a fly in the ointment, quite literally. He's not in terms of DRS, but he has been catching around 3/10 per lap on the back of Montana, 1.1 seconds, but now Justas on the back of Yilbream. Is he going to try and fight this move down towards turn 1? No, he's going to wait in behind. Cantera, in the meantime, coming through the kink of turn 1 on the run down in towards Tamburello, will get the move done. So Cantera making his way through. Yordi obviously now out the race, gains him 2 free spots, so Cantera now through, and he's into 7th, the underdog beginning to come back through the field.
Yeah, look at Larkin in 6th. Cantera hates that corner, doesn't he? He's gone wide so many times. He did it in quali. A real nemesis for him, it seems.
I thought he had left side end plate damage actually on the car. That might be my eyes deceiving me. It is my eyes deceiving me. He hasn't got left side end plate damage. For Cantera, really looks like he's beginning now to struggle almost. But now coming through the middle sector, he begins to gain the time back. So Dylan and Daniel clearly quicker in the first sector, coming out of Tosa. And now, coming through the middle sector, Cantera's quicker than them both. And now Daniel, right on the back of Dylan. Is he going to think of moving towards Variante Alta? No, not quite. Yildirim, by the way, that pace has now gone. Justas is right all over the back. The Ferrari on the back of the AlphaTauri. Daniel is running side by side with Dylan on the run down. Now in towards Ravazza as the sun begins to come through here in Imola. Halfway through the race as Daniel nearly goes around the outside of Ravazza and Dylan doesn't get quite the move done. Back on board with the battle for second because Justas now pulls the outside line through the kink of turn 1, gets the job done, and now Justas is through and he's into second position. Montana, Justas, Yildirim, currently your top 3 as Daniel makes the move on Dylan.
Dylan's kind of going backwards in this race at the moment, but it'll be interesting to see if Justas can get into that DRS and just cause Montana a few headaches. Yeah, I know he has that pen, but it's going to be... It's not what you want. You don't want people scrapping around you when you're trying to win a title.
No, definitely not. I think Justas, obviously, it could spawn in a much different way, I've got to be honest, to Portimao. Remember Portimao? Justas was that ghosted car and he got in the way of everyone. He could actually work more in the favour of Yildirim in behind, who's obviously 1.3 seconds off. Montana again coming out of coming out of Aqua Minerale. Again made a slight mistake, and now Justas right on the back of him, 1.2 seconds of the gap. Justas now beginning to look like he's got more pace, and that's why, because he's burning all of his ERS.
He's trying to get into that DRS window, isn't he? He's desperately trying to get into that 1 second window, but it's not going to be.
Not going to be indeed as he now comes across the line. He's barely within a second. No DRS. He's going to... Cantera has spun out the race. So Cantera's ran out of the final corner. Safety car possibly going to be deployed out on track. Not sure if that's off track. It is looking like it's off track. Where the chicane used to be, in fact. That's where he's crashed. Not quite sure. The car is gone. So, obviously no VSC or safety car. But... he did spin that on the left-hand side, coming out on the outside curb through Ravazza, on the exit of Ravazza. That's where he lost it, and Cantera out of the race. He was looking good in the second half of the race up until that point.
Yeah, really unfortunate for him because he was looking like he was going to salvage something out of what looked to be such a difficult track for him. But I'll tell you what, Larkin is having a stellar race as we have another...
Is that?
Is that good? Yeah.
This has gone through... oh, it's off the right-hand side. The rear wheel off the car. That is through Tamburello. And again, that looks like it's off track to me. But Yodi obviously retired out the race there. And there was no VSE or the safety car. And again, Cantera, because he's already left the session, it seems, no safety car or VSC deployed. Which I think for the likes of Campbell, for the likes of Verstappen, they've got to try and get a safety car to try and give them any sort of hope. They're in the points now. That's probably the best they can hope for.
Yildirim now closing in on Justas. Not close enough to get the move done, unfortunately. But it's looking like it's equalised out front. You know, it looks like Justas and Yildirim are as quick as each other. Montana is as quick as them also, but he's got that lead. He's just got that little smidge that he's out of that DRS.
Yeah, he seems to be quicker, I've got to be honest. Montana has been using up the deployment, 14% of ERS. Justas has got about 16%, but now he's beginning to use that back up. And again, he tries to break into that second, but going uphill into Piratella, probably not the best way to use it. I think, honestly, on the run down in towards Ravazza, probably the best time to use the deployment. Otherwise, you're going to be ending up on the back on Montana, and actually, he breaks within a second. Montana, again, does not like Aqua Minerale tonight. Rocco was picked up a 3-second penalty, but Justas now coming out of Aqua Minerale, and now on the run through Variante Alta, on the run down in towards Ravazza, just about within a second, and he actually dips outside of a second. So Justas again, even though he dipped down to 0% ERS, he's not going to get DRS again.
Awful, unlucky, just margins are so thin. But tell you what, Reapers have got an absolute boatload of errors. He needs to think about closing up and getting that deployed, because he'd have them on toast.
Yeah, the Germans doing a solid job. By the way, 8th and 9th position about to change. Rocco through the two Red Bulls side by side, down in towards Tamburello. But Rocco through halfway down the straight, and he's through, and he's into 8th position. Of course, he's got a penalty, and in terms of the penalties, actually, there are the penalties. I thought we would have had a lot more penalties, if I've got to be honest. Justas on 3, Rocco also on 3, Repaz on 6, and that is it out of our 12 runners that we've still got. Lap 21 out of 32, Montana leads the way, and again, Justas bordering on that second. He has got to use it on the run out in towards Ravazza, and this is where he is quicker through Aqua Minerale. This time around though, negated somewhat, but Justas again more comfortably, I've got to say, within a second this time. So I think this might be it. I think Yosas now is within a second, coming down onto Ravata, coming to the double left. Is he going to be within DRS range? Yes, just about. Just about 500 in, Yosas has got DRS on the back of Montana, and now Montana is going to be the one that's going to feel quite vulnerable.
Yeah, and look at the absolutely crazy, and he can now afford to not absolutely spank that battery as well and just stay behind.
I've never heard somebody use spank that battery before, by the way. That's very interesting indeed. Montana though leads the way. Yosas in second, but Yosas now, because he's within that DRS range, has now got the pace to try and lie up. But Montana again, through the first sector, he seems electric. He seems absolutely on fire through the end of the first sector. Coming out of Tulsa makes a slight mistake, but Yosas again, on the back, trying to use up that battery within 6.5 tenths in towards Piratella. Yulbream there in third, Repaz in fourth. Yosas though, 3-second penalty. Again, 6 seconds now for him. Writing in terms of the penalty seems on the wall, and Writing even might be on the wall more because Yulbream was all over the back of him coming out of Aqua Minerale.
Not ideal, and Montana's mastered that chicane, but he does just get back in.
He does, and actually, he did get DRS there, but I was just wondering about his throttle input coming in towards Ravata. He seemed very much on the high revs. I'm not sure if that was like full throttle. Again, coming down in towards Tamburello, you're not going to hear it here, but coming through Ravata, hear it next time around. I don't think he's getting full throttle input coming out of that car. I don't know. I could be wrong, or could have just been the full revs, but Yossa certainly looked like he lost time there, as Dylan is through on Rocco, through Tamburello, and now Rocco's going to fight back outside of Tamburello, and he actually nearly spins through the grass. Good recovery there by Rocco. It's going to bring Neo possibly into play. Rocco keeps his chances alive of points in 9th.
This is the sector where Montana struggles. He does struggle there. He went all over that curb, and this obviously, he goes very wide there. And he's actually gained overall net time, and he gains chunks here.
He's better at certain parts of the track compared to Justas, and Justas that time around, out of Variante Alta, wasn't as quick, but again, nicks into that DRS, 9 tenths away once again, on the run down, breaks slightly earlier, actually, Justas, compared to Montana, and that's why the gap keeps fluctuating, and Justas has spun! Justas has spun out the race, coming out of second! And now Justas is round, coming out of Ravata, and he was full revving into the corner once again, but Justas is round. Is the safety car going to be deployed? I don't think it is. Justas leaves the session, and that goes his P2 possibility. The Lithuanian now out of the race, and Larkin as well, overtaken by Daniel. I thought there was another spin there, but Daniel now through, and he's now into 5th. No safety car VSC again for the 3rd time in this race. Justas, though, out of the race. Campbell and Verstappen, more points coming their way.
Daniel has done incredibly well, because he had that butchered strategy, didn't he, where he went into medium, so, and he's not out of a
how's he 5th?
Here. Yeah, I know.
How's he 5th? Unbelievable, and he's actually beginning a lot to get a lot quicker than Larkin. Obviously, his teammate in behind, he can now really back up Dylan and Rocco. Dylan and Rocco, they were nowhere to be seen, to be honest, in all of this. So Daniel, his main focus now, as long as he's got the tyres, he's really good in terms of his tyre management. We saw it in Austria where he won in dry compounded tyres there. Daniel doing a solid job once again. 2.2 seconds off the back of Ruta, and that throws a spanner into the works. Montana, 3-second penalty coming out of Ravata, and now race on.
Absolutely, and I tell you what, Verstappen could potentially take this. What does he need to do? So if Montana comes 2nd, that means that Verstappen still needs 5th. It's a long way. It's a long way from being done. This one.
It is definitely a long way from being done, and again Montana slightly curvy, Slightly catching on the curb, coming through the exit of the Villeneuve chicane. Goodness me, Yildirim in second, but Yildirim has only got to stick onto the back of him. He doesn't need to race any ERS. He could drop 3 seconds behind and still possibly win this race. Yildirim is really on the pace compared to Montana. Montana obviously struggles. Coming through Aqua Minerale that time around, he was a lot quicker than Yildirim, and he gains the time back out to nearly 1.15 seconds. But again, Montana gonna come under pressure possibly from Yildirim, coming out of Variante Alta again. Lap 26 about to begin. Montana leads the way. Yildirim in second, Repaz in third. The sprint race, by the way, in Brazil is about to begin as well. So we're gonna miss probably about 10 minutes of it. I'm not sure if we're doing interviews. Are we gonna do interviews with the sprint race on?
I feel like we should if Montana wins the title.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think Montana, we have to give him the service at least of giving him an interview if he is going to win the title. But you never know what can happen in Formula 1. 7 laps to go here in Imola. The absolute historic track that is Imola. Montana leads the way. Yildirim in second. Can we just speak about Repaz's pace though? Repaz now beginning to come alive. This second half of the race, he's still got over 50% of ERS. But now look at this. In towards Tulsa, right on the back of Yildirim. If Repaz gets past Yildirim, we're back in from Mercedes 1-2. But then again, Yildirim might lose the time, and Montana might still win this race.
Yeah, very true. Very true. But then again, you can also look at it another way, which is Reapers could actually drag Yildirim along.
He could, to be honest. But Reapers again, first sector, it's very similar to Montana. First sector, Montana is electric. Mercedes again, same electric in the first sector with Repaz. But again, Yildirim catches up in the middle sector, not into the final sector. If Justas was in front of him, then obviously there would be catching on there, and it still will be pretty much a big DRS train for a full-way fight for the lead. But Montana leading the way, obviously with Justas now out of the equation, it gives Yildirim a chance. But Montana, I think he's got to try and go for it. He's got to try and set qualifying laps, essentially, to win this race. Otherwise, he's not going to, because Yildirim, 1.2 seconds in behind, 1.8 seconds he needs Montana to win this race. But through the first sector, he's just getting 3/10.
That's incredible. And Reapers is like you say, the laps are almost mirrored. It's pretty crazy, actually. Like, he's so quick in sector 1, and Yildirim tends to just have that advantage in sector 2.
Is Yildirim possibly overheating his tyres as well? Is what I'm thinking, because 1.5 seconds now the gap. Those tyres don't look shot, but I can see a bit of rear blistering on the car.
I think his problem also is that he's under deploying, isn't he? So he's in that 10% window where the battery is not at its optimal, which is gonna. I mean, Reapers. I want to see him use a bit more here going into the last 2 corners. Get on the paddle, get past. Yeah, and that's what he's doing.
He is going to do that 0.5 of a second in behind. My voice, by the way, is beginning to go. Montana leads the way. Yildirim in second. Repaz in third. Repaz, though, I think he's going to put Yildirim under pressure. Yildirim is slow coming out of Ravata, and now this is the opportunity for Repaz to strike. He is on the back of Yildirim. This is going to be the easiest overtake you're going to see all night. Repaz absolutely sails on by. Down the outside line, in towards the Kink of One, now in towards Tamburello 2 and 3, and Repaz now within DRS range of Montana. Could Repaz yet win this?
I was about to say, the overspeed was that crazy that he got into the DRS of Montana. I mean, he can. I can't see a reason why he can't win this. If he can get ahead of Montana and then maybe force Montana into a mistake where he cuts a corner, then they're on level penalties. So he's got it all to play for.
Yeah, and Yildirim looks like he's been running wide slightly in a few corners as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually on maybe 2 warnings at this stage. He's very close, possibly to a third, but who knows. Montana leads the way, Repaz in second, and now Repaz hunting down. He could be the Grim Reaper to try and spoil Montana's party here. That was no pun intended. I really do apologise for that. Montana, though, leading the way. 4 laps to go after this one. The Mercedes battalion lead the pack. Yildirim there in third. Wouter, by the way, in a bit of no man's land in fourth. He has driven, I think, one of the best solid races of the season so far.
Yeah, really, really solid lap. But it's unfortunate for him. Reapers is gone. His podium, unfortunately, is now.
Is Repaz going to get close to Montana down towards Tamburello? No, he backs off. I thought he was going to dive it down the inside line all day long. Repaz on the back of Montana. But again, overspeed down the straight is so powerful. Repaz has got 20% more ERS than Montana. He can now harvest that ERS slightly and save it up in behind. So Repaz has got more of an advantage than Montana. Montana is going to be doing the donkey work out in front. Repaz and Yulbreen might be there to just pick up the pieces.
Absolutely. I mean, funny enough, if Yulbreen can actually keep in this, he could. I mean, he's got to win the race almost certainly, to be honest. But he could even get it on track. Like if he gets the overspeed into turn 1 in one of these last few laps.
Yeah, the double toe I think is going to be quite potent. There is a yellow flag. Campbell has spun. Is that going to deploy safety car? I think we're too late. Oh, and it's a safety car! It's a safety car! Wow. And Repaz is into the back of Montana! Repaz into the back of Montana! 5-second penalty for them both! This is unbelievable! And Yulbreen has got a penalty as well in all of this. Yulbreen has got a penalty. He picks up 3 seconds. Montana's now got 8 seconds worth of penalties. He is into the pit lane. Repaz is in. Yulbreen is in. What will the medium runners do in behind? Wouter, is he going to come in? No, he stays out. They should. Daniel, Larkin, all stay out. Drama here in Imola. Wouter now leads. Daniel second. Larkin in third. The medium runners seemingly staying out. Rocco is back out. Dylan is into the pit lane. Neo is in. Verstappen, his only one opportunity, and he's right down the back of the field coming through Variante Alta. And now this throws the race completely open. Repaz into the back, and do you know what? These guys in a set of soft compounded tyres, the further they are down, especially Rocco and Neo, I don't think they're going to get onto the back of the safety car, because this safety car is on the out one lap.
This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy, because Larkin now finds himself in a position where he could get a podium. How on earth has this happened? And Daniel, I mean, you've got to favour Daniel to win.
And Montana, because of the penalties, is not going to win the championship. Verstappen's an 8th. Verstappen's an 8th. Montana, he needs 9 points to outscore Verstappen. He's only gaining 4. And Verstappen's got no penalties. Montana still has. So Montana, as long as Verstappen stays within 3 seconds of Montana, he's going to outjump him. Drama in Imola.
This is fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic, because this just blows it wide open. I feel sorry for Reapers who got held ever, as it's in.
Safety car is in. Are Rocco and the likes going to catch back up to the back of the safety car queue? Certainly, I think Rocco will. I think Verstappen is sticking to a delta. He's coming through Variante Alta now. He is going to latch onto the back. Luckily, I think for Verstappen and Neo, they're going to latch onto the back. It all depends on where Wouter is going to go. Is he going to go into Ravazza, or is he going to go on the outside of Ravazza, coming through turn 18? We'll have to wait and see. Wouter now deciding seemingly to go. He's up and down in terms of the pace. Wouter now leads the race and now goes. And there was a bit of contact, I think, there. Daniel was caught up in a little bit there. But he's absolutely blown the start. Wouter absolutely sails on by 2 laps to go. Wouter leads the way somehow now. Daniel in second, Larkin in third, Dylan in fourth, Yulbreen, Montana, Rocco all with penalties. And these guys on the set of softs, how far are they going to get up the field? Because they're going to be so quick compared to the medium runners. Yulbreen now on the back of Dylan. This race is not done with yet.
Oh, Yulbreen. Getting all over it. You've got to be patient though. Oh, as we talk about patience, Montana takes a dive. Awful dive, and that could cost him.
And Rocco's all over the back of him as well, and those two have history in other leagues as well, in Rocco and Montana. Montana in 6th position, currently holding on, and he picks up another 3-second time penalty. That is it, surely Verstappen is going to be outscoring Montana here tonight. Who would have thought that? Yulbreen's into the back of Dylan, and now Montana's going to try and make it 3 wide. It's going to be 2 wide into Variante Alta. Yulbreen going all the way around the outside of Variante Alta. He's on the inside line. Montana gets some wing damage as well. Right side end plate damage for Montana into the back of Yulbreen. The two NSX teammates make contact on the run down in towards Ravazza once again. Yulbreen gonna try the switch back on Dylan. Dylan is stoic in his defence, and look at the queue it's got in behind. Montana with that damage runs wide, and now Rocco is through, and Montana lets them through. He's into the pit lane. He's probably out of the race now. Wouter leads the way. Daniel second, Larkin in third. Final lap of the race to go as Yulbreen gets the move done on Dylan.
Wow, this is, and he's got to push like hell. But Dylan makes a mistake, and Rocco's by.
And Verstappen might come in through on this as well. He's only 3/10 in behind Verstappen in 7th, Montana in 10th. Have you ever seen a changeable race like this in League of Europe ever? I don't think I have. Wooter leads the way. Daniel in 2nd. Larkin in 3rd. We might not be getting any interviews. Montana's not even going to be on the podium. He's down there in 10th position. He's only picking up 3 points.
I'll tell you what, Daniel's all over the back.
Yildirim, oh my god. Yildirim was down the entire Aqua Minerale.
Larkin, just let him by. Just let him go. There's no need. You've got a podium here. Oh, maybe he's wondering if... Ooh... Hammer's off.
And now on the run down towards Ravazza, Yildirim is going to have a look down on the inside line. He's on the outside line for now for Ravazza. He's going to try and settle all around the outside. Daniel's run on the back of Wooter, by the way, for the lead of the race. This is not over and done with. Wooter round the final corner. Is he going to hang on? Daniel is going to try and get him, but the line's going to come in time. Wooter wins in Imola. Daniel in 2nd. Larkin in 3rd. Picks up a podium. Fights off the defence. Dylan 4th. Verstappen is 5th somehow. Unbelievable. That's the luck that he needed to stay in the championship fight. Neo at the end in 6th, Yildirim in 7th, Rocco in 8th, Repaz down in 9th, had more penalties than everyone else. And Montana, what could have it been for the championship leader? He will not be crowned champion here in Imola. I think he's more frustrated than anything else. And Montana there down in 10th position. His race looked dominant. He came into the pit lane, wrong call in the end, and if he didn't do that, he would have been crowned champion.
He would have. I think he would have, because Dylan was holding Dylan. Well, Larkin owes Dylan a beer. Almost certainly.
Oh, what a race in Imola! What a race! Imola likes to throw up its share of fair races and hard races. Larkin gets awarded Driver of the Day. I don't know who to give Driver of the Day to be honest. There might be too many candidates, but to the top step of the podium goes the man of the moment in the Williams is Wooter. Wooter takes the win. Of course, I got confused there. I thought it was Izza taking the top of the win, but Wooter has won. Relentless on the top step of the podium, I believe, for the first time since Nathan in Portugal.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at that. It's a 7th place finish for NXS as their best result. We wouldn't have predicted that 6 laps from the end, would we? Absolutely insane.
We wouldn't have, and Campbell brings out that safety car. Obviously made a mistake in his own right, and Campbell now probably has gifted Verstappen at least one more crack at Montana going into next week. Goodness knows what the fallout's going to be. But in the end, who would have thought Wooter, Daniel and Larkin would be your top 3? 2/10 of a second separating the two Dutchmen. Wooter on top from Daniel in 2nd. Larkin in 3rd, drove a solid race. Dylan there in 4th. Verstappen in 5th. And probably the luckiest Dutchman alive at this stage. Neo in 6th, with Yildirim in 7th. Rocco in 8th. Repaz, fastest lap of the race. Didn't even take Montana didn't even get it, so Repaz has stolen fastest lap of the race with a 14.9. He picks up an extra point. Montana there in 10th. Campbell gets classified in the results. He didn't finish though, so he will not pick up any points. Neither will Justas, Izza, Cantera, Yodi or Nathan. What a race in Imola. Wooter on top, Daniel 2nd, Larkin in 3rd.
I'd recommend people, if anyone's watching this back, just watch the last 6 laps. The first half was uneventful.
Yeah, uneventful race, which turned out to be possibly one of the best races of the season in the end, and the final couple of laps of the race. That late safety car really spiced things up, but Wooter has won. Daniel 2nd, Larkin in 3rd. If you are wondering about the sprint race, by the way, I can tell you Hamilton's in 11th at the minute. Hamilton is in 11th. I'm not sure who's leading, but that's the latest I've got. Mick Schumacher and Nikita are 19th and 20th. That's all I can tell you.
on that note, I'm going to go head off and watch it, I think.
I think we all are.
Yeah, I think Wooter and Daniel are not... I don't think they tend to join interviews, and Larkin's probably had enough interviews lately with his win yesterday. I think it's actually fair that we hop off early for a change.
Yeah, definitely so. It is, of course, quarter 8 here in the UK. The race ongoing in Brazil. What a race in Imola, though. Of course, next week, in terms of the championship fight, Verstappen has brought the gap back down slightly. It's still in Montana's favour, however. But Montana, that really nearly no point score in the end for Montana, down in 10th position. So unfortunate for him. I'm just trying to see where we are next week. If I try and get it up in time, I will tell you.
Is it Mexico?
Is it Mexico? Let me have a look. Hang on. PlayStation, F1, standings. We are in... are you right, Mr. Mark? Yes, you are. It is the Mexican Grand Prix at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. We will see you there, of course, same time. Division 2 and Division 5 will also be coming up at 8:10 UK time, if that is not delayed, of course, by the racing in real life. Thank you to Mark, of course, for joining me in the commentary box. It's been great having you. Thank you to our drivers out on track as well for joining us. What a thrilling race that was in Imola. We're going to head off. Thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.